Hey everyone, thank you for joining. I'm going to explain about the Django Tasks Scheduler project. My name is Daniel Moran. I've been maintaining this project for a while now, and I'm part of the board team of Django Commons. So this is the first recording we're having for introducing projects, and looking forward to it. I'm going to first show how to use the project and then show like a little bit like the architecture and like define different terminology that I'm using in the code. Then I'm going to dig inside the code like a little bit. That way it will allow people, developers to see like where there are areas where they would like to contribute. And then last I will say like why you should contribute to this project. So for started, like just like why do we even need this? I'm sure like a lot of developers encountered this. If you want to run a piece of code, which is like either based on a cron frequency or just repeatedly or based on an event, but you don't want to run it on your main Django process, which is responding to user requests. So you want to do it in the background or as a asynchronic task. With the Django Task Scheduler, you can run, it plugs in into your Django project. It enables you to schedule tasks, whether like repeatable or once. And you can manage everything through django-admin and run them on a separate process workers. You can manage. There is like an extra layer of complexity where it's like you can run it based on different priorities, different queues, different workers, etc., etc. Now, the way that it will work is like here you have task, which is a simple Django model based on like your relational database. It has the name, it has like which callable you want to call, and it does support also different arguments, whether it is like with arguments with names or without names. You can either have it as, if I'm going here, you can either have it run once on a specific time, you can have it as cron, or you can have it as repeatable task with different intervals. And then you can select the queue for it. You can have like when it's planned to run, like specifically for a cron job, it's nice to know when it's going to run the next time. And like it has like some statistics regarding like successful runs and failed runs. This is like in Django models, this is like in the relational database stored. Now, if I want to run it, what will happen? It uses redis or bulky or anything that supports the redis protocol, like the redis driver. It will use like this as a broker. In the broker, you have like some items which I think it will be good to review. An instance of a task, which is just like a plan of like what code to run, when to run it, and which details, like in terms of like queue, how long to maintain the result, and so on. In the broker, you will have like an instance of it. An instance of a task is a job. Yeah. Once you have like the job with all the details of the job, then you will, a job is associated with a queue where it's running. Now, what is a queue? It's just different registries of jobs. Yeah, in a queue, you will have like jobs that are scheduled to run, jobs that are queued to run, but they're not running yet. You have jobs that are running or jobs that are canceled completely. And once they're running, they can either like terminate successfully, finish jobs, or failed. Note that when it reaches like the end here, there is, in order to prevent like, because the broker is like usually in memory storage and we don't want to kind of have too much data there. So there is like a time to live on everything that is happening here, and it will disappear eventually. You have workers, which is like just another Django process, which is just querying the queue job and running the jobs that are queued to run. You have like scheduler, which is looking for tasks like in the relational database that should be scheduled and look for scheduled jobs that should be queued. So a worker process has the worker, which is listening to queue jobs that should be run. And it has potentially, optionally, it has like the scheduler thread, which looks for tasks that should be scheduled and scheduled jobs that should be queued. So far, is everything clear? Does this make sense?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so how does it look like if now I'm going to, I have like this Django project running, and let's say I want, like, despite the fact that it's like already past the time for this job, but I want to queue it anyway. I'm just like clicking here. If I go to the queues, you can see here that I have like in the default queue, I'm going to open like both in parallel here. So I have like 3 jobs that are scheduled to run, and this is like their next runtime. Sorry, so here you can see like the scheduled job, and like it's very similar to these tasks. And I have as well, yeah, I have as well the queue job, which is the job that I just queued here, even though it's not running. Yeah, obviously, I don't have, like, if you can see that I don't have currently in the queues, I don't have any workers for this. So it will just remain queued until a worker will just like take it and run it. I'm going to run now a worker. It is just like a manage command, scheduler worker. How to run a worker, it's in the documentation. I will show it later, but yeah, for now, just going to run it. And if I'm going to refresh it, this code doesn't do much. It just like make sure to queue other jobs. So yeah, if I like think it's, if I remember correctly, it's this one, or not sure actually. Yeah, if I go, for example, like here, sorry, I will go to the queue and I can see like the finished jobs. You can see here like that this test job passed. And this is like the return value. If I go to the code of like what does this test job actually do, return 1 + 1, shocking that the return value is 2. So you can see here the result. You can see if a job fail, for example, here a job fail, it will show you like the exception. And you can say like, I want to requeue the job, and it will store like all the different results. However, there is like a time to live for it, so it wouldn't like take too much RAM, I would say. Yeah, here is like the result time to live, like that's the default. For every task, like you can go in and you will see here like the different execution of the task. When you go into the queue, you can click on like different registries and see like the list of jobs that are there, and then you can see like where they ran, like which worker ran them, assuming they actually ran. Like if it's scheduled job, like you will see like that there is no worker. You will see like when they were scheduled, queued, ended, and which status they ended with, assuming obviously it's relevant. Like here, for example, you can see more view of like for every worker, like and which and once you click on the worker, it will show you like which job it executed, obviously like with the time to live for this information. And this is how you're using it. The idea, it really allows you really nice view of controlling everything through the Django admins, and like everything is kind of leading to like different locations here, like which worker it ran on, which queue it ran on, and so on and so forth. yeah, that's pretty much in terms of usage. Questions?
I don't have any questions, but this looks like a very thorough version of a task scheduler. I've used Celery and a couple others, and yeah, this, if I wasn't using Celery for a couple of my projects, this would seem very appropriate, well scoped, and
I actually have a project I want to use this on now. So
And the idea is that it's Celery was the reason why I even got there is like Celery is it's a bit, yeah, it's very robust, but it's also like a bit of overkill, especially like for like very simple needs of like I just want to have like something like a logger run asynchronously to or something like this. Then this is like a simple task scheduler which does like a lot, and it has a very nice view. It's supposed to simplify everything for like the users like having visibility on what's going on here. So yeah, that's the reason I actually created it. Now, in terms of the code, so you have the task model, which is Django model, and it has like, you know, 3 types of scheduled tasks. Now you have, other than this, a task, because a callable can be also calculated. So it has like the arguments and the key arguments for a task, which you can provide as well. Notice that for like, in order to be able to view it in the Django admin, so it also, I created like the queue and worker here, so it will be viewed here. There is like one thing of which I thought about, and like I'm debating, it can be like something to create is also like a job model, so like the list of all jobs will be also visible in the Django admin. It's like totally possible. Right now it's viewable only like through the queues. I turned it off. So if I go, yeah, if I go to the queues here, I can only see the jobs like based on a queue. I cannot see all the jobs from all the queues. So there is like a possibility for this. This is like the relational, like the Django models, like the traditional ones, let's call it like this. And then you have like it's called the redis model, which probably should be updated to broker model, since like it's not necessarily redis these days. And this is potentially like can be extracted to a different project, because the way that it works here, it's like there is like the base model, and it allows you to like have like based on hash commands on the broker, or based on stream. And if you look at, for example, at the job model, so this is like the different arguments it holds, and you can create for worker, there is like different information. So I can totally see this becoming a separate project where it's like, you know, Django Redis models, where it creates like admin views based on the list of fields here that are quite generic. Yeah, so it's quite robust in terms of like adding a field here will just like it will have like the understanding of like when it needs to be updated. It maintains all this information pretty well, and yeah, I would argue it's like pretty fast as well. Yeah, this is for the registries, which is like set with score, like every item has a score, which is basically the timestamp. This is how we maintain the possibility of like having like the schedule job, like knowing when they should be scheduled. Yeah, other than this, so yeah, this is the Redis models. Now, when it comes to the different views, you have the worker views. You have like worker list and worker details, and you have like the template, which will show you eventually here which jobs, the table of jobs that ran on this worker. Similarly for like the queue, you have the queue, well, it's just called like queue statistics. And then there is, when you click on like one of the registries in the queue, which will be here, like finished jobs, for example, then it will show you like the list of jobs in registry. So this is like registry jobs. For a specific jobs, you will have like the job detail, which will also show you like all the results of the job, like a job. If it failed and you want to rerun it, it's possible, and it will have like, it will store all the different results, obviously with the different like TTL. So it's like results might disappear eventually. But yeah, this is the job view. And then you have like different actions that you can do. You can delete a job, you can requeue a job that failed, and this is where it gets interesting. You can actually like make changes to the TTL. Like currently, like there is like requeue, delete, and queue and cancel, but there is a possibility to do much more than this. These are the views, the different views in the code. The worker, as I mentioned, like it's the thing that eventually like listens to the queue jobs and execute them, and like will move them between queued to active to either finish or failed. In order to move like from queue to cancel, like there should be like a command from the user. So the worker is not involved in this, like in moving from queue to cancel. And the worker potentially, it has a flag of like whether it should run with scheduler or without scheduler. It will like create a scheduler which watches like the schedule jobs and move things to queue jobs based on like an interval. So you have here like the worker scheduler task, which gets like an interval that it will run on. There is like in the settings, like all the default settings, like you are pretty, at least in my opinion, they're pretty good. Like you can obviously change them as you see fit in your code. One of the things that I found also, which is needed, like when you, this is maybe a bit jumping to how to install this, but when you are using like settings for this kind of project, it's like, since there are quite a lot and it's very easy to make mistakes in, so I find it good to have like a data type for it. So IDEs will like guide you if you're, if I put like, if there is a typo or something like this, it will guide me through it. So there is like this support. You don't have to use it, but I do find it helpful, especially when it comes like to configuring different queues. If you put configuration, which like you both include host and URL, then it will like give you an exception up front, and you don't have to figure out like what is the priority, stuff like this. Yeah, so this is like when it's like talks about like the configuration. Where was I? Yeah, scheduler running potentially as like a side thread. There is also the possibility, the worker, other than having the scheduler, which is optional, there is like a thread which is running, which is listening to a pub/sub channel where you can send commands. Currently, there are commands implemented like to kill the worker, to suspend the worker, or to resume the worker, to stop a job that is currently run by the worker. So it's like it is possible like to communicate with the running worker from like using this code. One of the things that I would like to do, but it requires like some time, is like you can actually like you should be able to send these commands using the Django admins. When you see the list of workers, like you can send the command to suspend, to shut down, to stop a specific job, to, I mean, I can see like, change the settings of the worker, like from the Django admin, like using specific commands, maybe not all settings, but some of them, like, so this is like another potential area where it's like it can be improved here. I think this is pretty much covering everything that I wanted in terms of the code. Obviously, like I went through it very quickly. Questions and like anything I went by like too fast?
I'm not.
No, I
It's
don't.
hard. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I don't have any questions in particular. I mean, this looks really robust, and I mean, you called out a couple of things you want to see improvements on, but like, yeah, that's amazing.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, so there is like management commands, like particularly like the last version here is a full rewrite where it's like based on like the values that I have is like to have like as little dependencies on other projects, particularly when it's like it creates like a layer of just like the code being a bit shaky, and every time there is a new version of like the dependency, it causes like breaking changes in this code. So I removed the RQ dependency, and now it's like working almost like fully standalone. Like there are like dependencies of like click and some stuff like this, but nothing nothing serious, I would say. Like it's like code which is like production level. And yeah, this is like the version 4, so it's like it's now in beta, but it's I would think this is a great time to join because it's like it's a full rewrite. There is a lot of opportunities like to add stuff here, whether it is like different worker commands, whether it is like improve the views and add some more information like to the views, which like yeah, I can totally see like why this is like not clickable and leading to the queue, something like this. Yeah, like you can totally see a value there. Other places where it's like I don't know whether how feasible it is, but like this Redis model, I see a potential of having like Django Redis models, and maybe, as I said, should be changed to like broker storage models or stuff like this. But like maybe have Django admin templates, which are more generic. That's also possible. That way, when a field is added to a job, it will be calculated like and will be shown like as part of like the template without like considering like, hey, I added a field to a job, then it should be added like also to the template. Yeah, so that's like another possibility where it's like contributions are welcome. Right now, as far as I remember, there is like roughly like 90% coverage of tests, and particularly when we're talking about tests that have multiple processes and measuring coverage across multiple processes, it's like not straightforward. So any help there will definitely be appreciated. Yeah, so this is like different areas where it's like I think there can be a lot of contribution. Documentation, always valuable, like to improve documentation, and I do think there is a lot there. The documentation is part of the code here. It's just like under docs, and there is like screenshots. Maybe I think I should add this video afterwards as well. Now, other than this, in terms of like, if you want to become a maintainer, or why should you become a maintainer, it's like, I do think this package is on one hand small enough that it doesn't have too much code. It's very like niche in terms of like what it's doing, and on the other hand, it touches, I think, a lot of areas of Django, whether it is like there are different views, there are different models, there is like templates. So I do think it's like, it touches like whatever area of Django that interests you, it has something there. So I do think, it's a good way to start working and contributing to Django overall. This package is also like downloaded. Let's see, what's the latest? 4,000 times a month, which is like, it's not a lot, it's not very big, but it is like not neglectable, I would say. So it's, I do think it's good to contribute to something which it is being used. And you get to work with me, which is, I do think it's very valuable in terms of like code reviews. I think you can learn a lot from me if you want to become a open source contributor. Now, in terms of like, when you work with me, you should know the value that I follow for developing this package and like in most of the code that I develop. I think the most important thing is simplicity, and like it should be standalone. As I said, like, I'm leaning towards like avoiding adding the dependencies if it can be avoided, especially when the dependencies are like having some break-in changes, which one might influence this package. Now, I don't mind, like, I think it's like we should be very quick to publish. There is like a very good CI/CD here when it comes to test. And if I look now at the tests, just like this is, no, that's not it. If I look at the test, it runs like against different versions of Python, different versions of like Redis Spy, or and different versions of like brokers. So yeah, we do have like it's quite robust in terms of like the CI/CD here, and this allows like very quick release cycle. And most importantly is like, I think is like service to others. So whenever there are issues open, make sure that the users like gets a response quickly, even if the response is like, I'm looking into it, just to make sure that it's not like to make sure like they don't feel ignored. So and make sure that you don't close an issue without users feeling like that they got like a full response for what the issue that they opened. I think this is pretty much it. Thank you for listening. Are there any questions?
Yeah, actually, I do have one for Daniel. If a new contributor comes to the project, so we saw the issues, and there are 3 issues right now, so like not a lot of bugs for people to fix. And so like on some libraries, that's what people are recommended to go do. Are you open to new contributors suggesting new features? Like what's that process like for this project?
Thank you. This is actually very good, and I think it's like I also should document it in the contributing markdown as well. Yes, I'm open to new features. I do think it's important to suggest the new feature as an issue first, just like to fine tune it and see like, maybe it can be a bigger feature, maybe it is part of another feature which is already developed, or like, so it's better always like, don't come and just like create a pull request because maybe there is like another issue which is like already like touching it. So it's always good to have probably an issue, I think is the best way, like to create an issue with like a feature suggestion. And once you have like go ahead, there is an understanding of like what it should look like, maybe, expand the feature. And like once it's properly defined, then it's like, it's better to start implementing it there, just to avoid, frustration of like, hey, I already implemented it, but yeah, it's already implemented somewhere else. So it's always good to, make sure that you have a go ahead for it.
Makes sense. Thank you. I have another one. Are there any coding standards a contributor should be aware of when working on this project?
Yes. So one of the things that is running, I think it should run on every CI/CD. It runs rough with certain settings, which is defined in the pipe project. There you go. Theoretically, like when you open a pull request, it will fail and will tell you the errors that you have there, but you can always run like just come and say rough format. And yeah, let's say I'm just think of an example here. There we go. Like I'm changing this to single quotes. So once I run this, rough is going to do the work for me.
Very cool. I think I might be out of the questions. Go ahead,
I have a question. You'd mentioned a couple of different things that you thought would be good additions, but they didn't look like those were open issues yet. Do you have in mind like a roadmap, or are there issues that you need to write up and, for new contributors, or like how are you kind of thinking of that?
So one of the things that I notice, and this is actually like where I would appreciate the help, if I am opening an issue, then people start like assume that it's going to be resolved quickly, which is like what I want them to assume, because I address issues quickly, especially when people are opening them. But when it comes to, if I'm looking at the worker commands or different views, which definitely like I can see improvements there, but I don't want to commit to a certain timeline with this. So I didn't open an issue, which is also why I'm always like suggesting, like, when you want to contribute, open an issue. Well, let's discuss it and fine tune it and see, like, maybe it's already like I thought about it and then have like an idea of how to implement it. So yeah, I don't have, maybe I should have like in the discussions, or it's a good idea to have in the discussion some kind of roadmap for it, because I don't want it as an issue just because like I address issues faster, or at least I want to.
I don't have any other questions.
Yeah, I didn't come up with any either. Thank you, Daniel. This was great.
Yeah, thank you.